Hi, I'm Bob Ethington.
And I'm Nick Nicholas.
And this is From Akron and Beyond. Well, hi there, folks. Bob here, and with my buddy Nick. Hello, Nick.
Hey.
And we are here today with three very good friends, Bob Kidney, Jack Kidney, and Terry Hynde, all from the Numbers Band. And the Numbers Band are about to celebrate their 55th anniversary as a band, which is incredible. And I talked with Bob Kidney before this, and he made it pretty clear to me that he didn't really want to talk all that much about the first 54 years. He wants to talk about right now, the band today, and where they're headed. And that makes sense to me because they're still one of the very best they're probably the best band in the area. I mean, they're incredible. Yeah, and their history's great, but boy, they're so terrific now. Yeah. Nick.
So I was just going to say that all our listeners out there, we had an amazing two-parter with the Numbers Band. We recorded, probably almost a year ago, and it's available.
Oh, longer, yeah.
Yeah, it's available on all the streaming services, as well as the website of 91.3. Pretty amazing shows.
Yeah, and we covered
all the historical stuff.
Right, really went back to the whole history of the band and how they'd started. So that's been covered. What we want to talk about now is now. So, hi, Bob.
How are you today?
Well, good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm here.
Good. So, Bob, as you guys are approaching, you have a big show coming up at the Kent Stage in celebration of this anniversary. What are your thoughts as you approach this? What are you, where does the band stand right now, and where are you headed?
Well, I think we're in a very good place. I think that we're working on new material.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a couple of new songs for the show.
Oh, all right.
Of course, we'll do some of the classics people remember.
Yeah.
To honor them. And we're very busy.
Yeah.
We're playing, in some cases, more than we want to. And I don't think we could be in too better of a situation than we are.
Yeah.
Actually, at this point, the people are still coming out to see us, and I think right now we're probably playing. I think other guys would agree that we're probably having some of the best audiences and rooms that we've ever had.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very consistently, and which is nice. I think it's because possibly the age group wants to go out, you know, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. So, Jack.
Yeah.
Who's in the band other than you and your brother and Terry Hynde? Who else is in the band?
Well, Bill Watson plays bass.
Okay.
And Clint Allgaier plays drums.
Okay.
That makes 5 of us.
All right. So speaking as a drummer, a rhythm section guy, you guys have a great rhythm section.
Okay.
I mean, they are tight and good, and always knock me out when I see you guys play. Yeah, nice support.
This lineup's been together for quite a while, right?
Yeah, I'm no good in the space-time continuum, so I can't tell you how many years.
No, but a while.
But it's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
Long time.
Yeah.
The drummer, I think, over 10 years.
All right.
And Bill was born in the band. His mother played organ, and she left, and he took over bass at the age of 5.
Okay, Nick, you're buying that?
No more questions.
So, and then the instrumentation, Terry, you play sax, alto sax.
Alto soprano and a little piano.
And a little piano, too. And then, Jack, you play harp, right?
I play harmonica.
Yeah, piano.
Play the keyboards.
Yeah. saxophone,
the saxophone,
and timbales.
and I play timbales.
So you're the
He
I
also
play
writes.
guitar too, but I, you know,
yeah,
He writes, he sings,
Yeah.
he performs. He's a,
yeah.
he's got it all together.
March of '73 is when I got in the band.
Okay, wow. Okay, so you're a newcomer.
Yes.
So, and the band started. I mean, we're not going to go into all this
Yes,
history
we
again.
already were here.
Well, okay, but the band, like, what? Since we're talking 55 years of the Numbers
Yes.
Band, what was the first year that you and the first gig you played?
1969.
Okay,
The first job we played was Nino's Casino, across from what was then St. Thomas Hospital.
wow, okay,
And the reason it was our first job is I had a friend named John Prinzo from high school. He
Okay.
knew the owner, and he talked the owner into letting us play. The only stipulation was we had to do one top 40 song, or they wouldn't let us play.
Okay.
It was a like show band, top
Yeah,
40 cover type thing, which is that's the way it was, still is. So we learned "Fortunate Son,"
Oh, right.
okay.
and we did that,
Mhm.
and then we did the rest of our stuff and played to about 9 people. They like "Fortunate Son."
Yeah, that one went over, huh?
That one, we did okay. I'm just kind of exaggerating. There, it was a small place.
Sure.
Was Terry in the band
No.
on that first gig? Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, so this was a whole
He got
different
to
group.
join. He got to join later after we were more successful,
Uh-huh.
and we were playing to 15 people.
Okay. You waited till you got to double digits before Terry
True.
sent in. But Terry, you were in the band before Jack, am I right or wrong?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So, what happened to you, Jack? What took so long?
Huh?
What took
I'm
you-
very young.
Oh, that's true.
Still in
You were a mere
junior high.
child, right?
Well, I was a junior, sophomore in high school.
Yeah. Okay, well, that would make sense.
I graduated in '72,
Okay.
so the band was well established by 1973
Mhm.
when I got in the band.
Right, yeah. Okay. So, Nick, do you remember the first time you saw the Numbers Band?
Yeah, it was definitely at the old Cove a number of times, and they knocked me out then, and man, to this day it's pretty amazing.
And I think a lot of people go back to the Cove days, right? I mean, there's a lot of legend
The
there.
ones that are still alive.
Still alive.
Yeah.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Right.
But I bet I'll bet a lot of the people that saw you at the Cove still come to see you now.
Yeah, they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is something, right? I mean, longevity.
That's what I hoped for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've achieved it.
I was admired. I was not a big fan of country music, but the one thing I did admire about the performers in country music is that their audience stuck with them
Mm-hmm.
Oh
for
yeah.
their whole carer,
Yeah. That's
which
true.
I thought was really nice.
Mhm.
Didn't happen in other music; it was there and gone.
Right.
But in country music, you can just see the careers of
Sure.
many of them. They're still playing.
Yeah.
Dolly Parton, people are still coming to see her.
Right. And people like Loretta Lynn and George Jones had audiences,
Right.
up to the end. Right.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. Now, when you guys started, I guess I'll ask you this, Bob. When you guys started, did you think of yourself as a blues band?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what. I don't want to get into all this sort of minutia about it, but I
Yeah.
mean, yes, that's what we did. We played blues, but we played it sort of in focusing more on the power of the music, not what it actually is.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
That's a good
yeah.
comment.
That's a good description of your guys' music.
And well, it wasn't really anything that exotic. I mean, bands like Canned Heat were doing that. And,
Yeah.
there were a lot of bands that were doing that.
Yeah.
But we were doing it, and the other bands in the area at the time were playing covers,
Yeah.
and we were not. And I won't get into the whole story about that, but I mean, that's what people wanted.
Right, sure. Yeah.
You know, they were loaded. They wanted, they wanted something that had some sort of force.
Right.
Generated some
Fun
kind of excitement.
Stuff, yeah.
And we were doing what we were doing.
Well, yeah. Well, I think you generated a lot of force and excitement, though. I wouldn't. You still do. Yeah. So let me ask a question here. I know of Bob's, orientation with the blues. I want to ask you two guys. So, Jack, you first. Like your musical influences. That's one of the things about the band I think is so great is this conglomeration of different kinds of aesthetics, really, that make you guys unique. So, what's your background? It could be blues too. Obviously, it's probably going to be some blues, but whatever.
My favorite song is "A Hot Fun in the Summertime."
Okay.
By Sly and the Family.
By Sly, yeah.
That's my favorite.
Okay.
That would be my go-to song.
Okay. Well, that's okay. Cool. All right.
And I listen to a lot of Joni Mitchell.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Stevie Wonder.
Okay.
I listen to a lot of them.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I was learning how to play harmonica.
Yeah.
So I listened to Little Walter Jacobs, Big Walter Horton, Sonny Terry.
Yeah.
Sonny Boy Williamson, James Cotton.
Yeah.
Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
And I put their records on and played their records. Well, I played a lot to Junior Wells records.
Well, it's a good one to play to.
Put the needle in the groove and start playing, because it took me a little bit of time to figure out what key they were playing in, but then, you could play along.
Yeah.
And learn licks and cop licks and.
Yeah. That's a whole phenomenon. I wonder if that still exists now, playing to the record.
Walking by Myself.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I learned it verbatim off the record.
Uh-huh.
So then I would go down at 19 years old.
Yeah.
And he'd go into it. And I would play the harmonica part off of the record while the band was playing, including the solo, which is a monster.
Yeah.
Harmonica solo.
Yeah.
But in terms of musical influences, depending upon the instrument, I played saxophone, and I was playing next to Terry, and he was listening to people and turning me on to people that I didn't know. Ornette Coleman.
Yeah, I was going to ask Terry about his stuff. Yeah,
lots of folks.
Yeah. Well,
I liked Archie Shepp and I liked Albert Eiler.
Yeah.
And when I would listen to Albert Eiler, I could think, well, I can do that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Terry, is that your background more, jazz or?
Absolutely. Well, jazz, yes. Bob took me over to his house one time when the band was first getting started, and I came out of big bands and stuff like that. And he said, "This is the kind of stuff we're going to do." And he put on some Howlin' Wolf and some Muddy Waters and some stuff, and I'm going, "What the f*** is that?" They're not even playing in tune. But I didn't understand the music at the time. Mm-hmm. I later developed a really good liking for it.
Right.
It took me a while.
But then you're coming from some avant-garde jazz stuff, which some people would say the same thing about that, right?
Oh, yeah, sure.
But I love that stuff. I love that music. Well, I was going to say when Jack was talking about learning with records, that's kind of a phenomenon. I presume it still exists, but I know that when I was learning how to play drums, I used to play along with records, and because I didn't have a band, so it was the only way to learn how to play, in time was with a record. And I'd think back about how I must have really driven my parents crazy because I'd have to turn the record up so loud that I could drum over it. Finally, I got headphones and I did it that way, but I still probably drove them crazy.
I think one thing that's important is in our conversation is to realize that none of the three of us were limited.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Terry played jazz. He played jazz. But we both enjoyed Oliver Nelson, the orchestra.
Yeah.
I listened to a lot of Count Basie, Duke Ellington. We all did.
Mm-hmm.
And we all listened to Archie Shepp. We all listened to Sun Ra. And all these things.
Right.
And I said, and I also listened to, I grew up through the British thing. And the Beach Boys. That's what I listened to all of that. I listened to Dylan. I listened to just about everything. It's Oliver Nelson, right?
Oliver Nelson, yeah, yeah.
So
blues and the abstract truth.
And I mean, so and Jack just didn't listen to those three guys. He listened to all kinds of stuff.
Oh no, I get that. But I guess what I was really trying to say here is that is a thing about the Numbers Band that makes you guys unique. Is you're in the best sense of the word, you're very eclectic. I mean, there's a lot of different. I mean, when I'm at a show and I hear you guys play, I'm hearing the blues. I'm hearing the Chicago blues, but I'm hearing avant-garde jazz, and I'm hearing some soul and a little funk in there too, and yeah, all this stuff. But it's all what you guys do. What it's not like patched on. Oh, this is a jazz part. This is a blues part. It's all very integrated.
So it's a depth.
Yeah,
I would like to think that people that are going to come to hear us at this concert coming up, on March 8th, the 55-year anniversary, are all fans of that eclectic thing, you know, which it still is, and we've honed it down. You know, I mean, it truly does reflect a lot of different types of music, but it's really our own. Yeah. And it belongs to us.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Well, the music now is almost all original, you know, and that started a long time ago. But we still do some old stuff that we like to play and enjoy to play. You know, basically, I mean, that it's original.
Yeah.
And it's not only original, it's uniquely original. It's distinct.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? And it's a conscious decision. It's the conscious decision.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No.
And you're still recording. I mean, a couple years ago, you put out a tremendous record.
Yeah, and all those songs will be on display, you know, on March 8th.
We're probably going to go back in the studio later this year, ideally, because we have more than enough material we could spend a lot of time in the studio.
You love the studio, too.
I hate it. These, you know, my brother and Terry, they're a lot better than I am.
Yeah.
I deplore it.
I'm with Jack.
Sounds like a three for three here.
Some of the conversations we had in the past, like control is a big deal, and as long as you have control over what you're doing in the studio, you're fine.
And that's hard to get.
That's like, you know, yes, and the will-o'-the-wisp is just over the hill. You know, it's about whose buck it is. You know, if it's your buck, you got the say. If it ain't your buck, you got nothing to say.
Right.
You know?
Well, so when you guys, first of all, this is From Akron and Beyond. I'm Bob Ethington with Nick Nicholas, and we are here talking about the 55th anniversary of the Numbers Band with Bob Kidney, Jack Kidney, and Terry Hynde. And they have a big show coming up on March 8th at the Kent Stage to kind of celebrate this anniversary. And I'll be there. I know Nick will be there. And you guys better be there, too. You three.
We'll be there.
I want my money back otherwise.
I'm planning on it.
Okay, you're planning on being there.
Yeah.
It's penciled into your calendar.
Yeah,
that's good.
Nice and ink.
Okay. So, I'd like you to talk about your audience, because I do think that you guys have a kind of a unique audience in a way. I mean, of bands, at least in this area, they seem devoted. They come out to see you. How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about it?
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, it's over
you created
half a century,
it in a way, right? Yeah.
Over half a century, you know, and I'm very sort of defensive about the fact that they're not fans. Fans comes from the word fanatic.
Right.
They're not fanatics, and they're not followers. They don't follow anyone. If they followed anyone, they wouldn't be there. Because these people, I think, you know, they're looking for something special. And I do think that there's one, you know, I talk to the people in the audience, and it's like they're not all one mindset.
No.
They come to the band for different reasons, but I do think that there's this sort of, like I've said 1,000 times, from the very beginning, as we just spoke not too long ago, there's this sort of primal force that we still own.
Yeah.
And it has to do with, I think, a commitment to what's going on in the moment, and the lack of fear to take risks in the moment. And I think that generates a certain sort of atmosphere and energy. Now, some people put their coats on and get out because they can't deal with this energy. But the people that come to see us, that's what they come for.
Right.
And they also come, I believe, because we keep updating what we're doing. It's like, it's not like you're going to come. But we, for the most part, I mean, there are songs that we're still playing, that we did from the very beginning, but there's also a lot of stuff, if you haven't heard the band for a year or so, that you won't know.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's what they expect.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other thing is I believe that they're, like I was saying, I've been saying, is that, these people, they support the band financially. They're patrons. And in the old days, they paid for babysitters and gasoline, and they give the businesses that we play in their money for whatever it is that they want.
Right.
They support the waitresses, and they support us.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this music is about. And I think the show that we're about to do, as I said, for the 50th, I can't believe we're playing the 55th. But here we are, but I mean, same thing. This is about them.
Yeah.
And I think beyond that, it's very important to recognize that without Clint Elgire and Bill Watson, who are the rhythm section, we wouldn't be here. And there's another gentleman named Jason Proofer who takes care of our promotion and does the Facebook and all these, a myriad of things. He's also responsible for why we're here.
Yeah.
Because he gets constantly is promoting who we are, where we are. I wouldn't be doing that. Jack wouldn't be doing it.
We played in New York a couple of years back, down in the Bowery district. I can't remember the name of the club.
Electric.
But the thing that's changed over the years is because of, like, Jason taking care of the social, what's it called?
Social media stuff, marketing, whatever. Yeah, yeah.
The place in New York, and we'd played in New York a slew of times, and we didn't get anybody to come hear us,
Yeah.
But the last time we played down there, the place was packed, and they're calling out tunes that we hadn't played for 15, 20 years. They wanted to hear them.
That must have been great.
Because of that, we filled the place.
Yeah.
And they came up to the stage. I mean, the audience was closer than we are right now.
So Jason had conveyed your story to that audience.
He took care of getting the publicity out there. And I'm packing up at the end of the night, and this couple comes up to me and goes, "We used to come down and see you when we lived in Stowe, or we lived in Rootstown, wherever, and, blah, blah, blah."
That's cool, though.
But the social media thing has changed the landscape.
Sure, yeah. Very much.
Those people are coming out to hear. We were playing down at Jilly's last Saturday. They're coming out, and they still got to drive home. But it ain't like driving home in 1975. It's a different ballgame now.
You gotta be careful.
But there they are. Yeah, you got to be careful.
Right.
But there they are, and there they were.
Yeah.
The promotion we did in the beginning was stapling posters to a foam pole.
Sure, right.
And trying to get enough people in the city of Kent to come and see us.
Right.
Other than that, there was nothing.
Yeah.
The radio didn't do you any good. The newspaper didn't do you any good. The Kent Stater rarely did you any good.
Yeah.
We just recently got hooked up with playing in Cleveland again on a regular.
Yeah.
We used to play in Cleveland pretty regularly.
Yeah.
And then it kind of dried up, But now, through the Beachland and Cindy Barber and all that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Tree Lawn, I think, is the name of her new club.
Yeah.
We're back in Cleveland.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
And the point is the people are coming to see us
Right.
when we're in Cleveland.
To make it worth it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be playing it.
Right. It's all cool to be playing in Cleveland, or more to the point, New York,
Right.
if you actually get an audience, right?
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's kind of like, yeah, we played New York last weekend. That's cool.
Right.
Yeah, there's nobody there. You know?
There's nobody there, but we played. But the last time we played, it was packed.
Yeah. That makes it super worth it. So, Terry, I have to ask, we're talking about the force of this band, and it strikes me that there is, and I'm curious, I may be wrong, so you guys tell me, but I'm going to start with Terry. You guys are incredibly tight as a band. You stop and start on a dime. It's always knocks me out. But there's also a real improvisational fierceness and kind of looseness that's part of that makes it so. That's one of the things that makes you guys so unique. So I'm curious. A couple of things. First of all, how often do you guys practice?
Good question.
No, I'm asking you, Terry.
Well, once a month.
A month?
Really?
Once? Really?
Yeah. He gets a new song coming up. We'll put 1 or 2 practices together, get that together. But
Okay.
we don't need to practice to play together.
I guess you've got it down, right? Is maybe
Yeah.
the point. Okay.
Yeah,
all
we
right.
don't rehearse Jimmy Bells in town.
And here's a funny story about Jimmy Bell. A girl came up to me that weekend. She goes, "Why don't you guys play Jimmy Bell?" And I said, "We play it all the time." And she goes, "No, the way you used to play it." And I'm like, it's not that much different than the way. So I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Everybody gets their own personal critic in this band.
Right.
Sometimes a group,
Yeah.
Yeah. Might talk 4 or 5 of them. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that?
Yeah.
I'm looking
Point
forward.
is, I don't care. We're here and we're doing what we're doing. And that's what we're doing. And it was the same thing we were doing when you thought we were good.
I remember when you guys were good.
That's a great line. Yeah. Okay. Now I want to pursue this a little bit. So you guys don't need to practice that much. I get that. You've been together for 55 years, so I get it. But there's still, there are these moments where you guys explode. Mm-hmm. Is it the same every time, or is it something? Is it just a different place, a different place in a song, different time, and you just can feel that that's going to happen? I know this is very intuitive, vague, musician-y kind of
Very
stuff,
true.
but I'm just curious.
Very vague and
Yeah.
very intuitive. It's a secret.
Yeah. Okay.
You can't know.
Yeah.
We rehearse new material.
Mm-hmm.
But in the course of the rehearsal, I'll have an issue with a particular section that isn't the whole tune, or he'll have an issue with the way where the horns are coming in, or coming up with lines, and then we'll review all that.
Right.
But the point of the rehearsal is to work on new material.
Okay.
Because
Because without that,
Yeah.
we're nothing.
Right. Right.
I mean, nobody wants to hear Jimmy Bells in town,
Well,
except for that one woman.
And she's shaky.
Well,
I mean, nobody in the band is like, "Oh God, we got to do Jimmy Bell."
no, I get that. Sure.
know.
Sure.
Well, we do it because the crowd loves it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they relate to it. And
Right.
It takes them back to wherever it is they go.
And we used to be good.
When they were good.
Well, the people that, that's your legacy, right? I mean, you can't avoid it. That song took on a life of its own. Yeah. But I mean, it hasn't overwhelmed the band by any means. I mean, you guys own it, but the new material, it's just as exciting, I think. Just as interesting.
Well, it's more exciting in terms of the band members.
Sure, right, because it's fresh. Yeah. I don't know. It's curious. But, as you were talking about it, Jack, I was thinking that is how music often works, actually. I mean, I mean, I did some recording recently, and Terry was involved in it. And I've listened to. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because it was a lot of group improvisation, and I've listened to it back, and I'm like, this could not have been written better than this. I mean, the way that all the guys are just playing in this improvisational way, it flowed in a way that it was almost like, man, I guess I'll pretend to say that I thought of this, but I didn't. It was just the way that these guys all played. And that's what you got, those moments happen with every gig with you, I'm sure, right? Probably, or hopefully they do. That's what you kind of live for.
You're answering your own question. Are you asking me a question?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
What moments do you live for on a show when you're playing live? What makes it worth it to you?
Well, I think that the music that we play has to be improvisational from my own view. I mean, that's what I do it for.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why we play. And there's a structure. And we work on the structure. But once the structure is there, there's always space.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know who Anton Fier is.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Well, that was the remark that he always would tell me, is that he liked playing the material that we do. When he did our material, he liked playing it because there was always room somehow for improvisation.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't write songs, we write compositions. And so we're in control of the space.
Right.
And it's not something, I don't know. I mean, it's really, when we, like what they're calling practice is actually a rehearsal.
Sure.
Okay, this music is part theater. And so there are areas in the music that cannot be defined, because if they're defined, the music dies.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think you were picking up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the truth of the music is in the moment.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's the language of the moment, and the more moment you inject, the more you remove yourself from mainstream music.
Mm-hmm.
Because people like things very specific.
Yeah.
But the band is not that way. And I think the other thing that we offer is lyric-based music. It's lyric-based.
Yes. Yeah.
So when Jack writes a song, it's a story that he's telling.
Mm-hmm.
And you can retell that story a lot of different ways with different nuances and stuff, but it's essentially the same story. That's why people like Jimmy Bell has a groove and a story.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Earlier on, you mentioned Anton Fier. He was a great drummer. He was one of the founding members of the Feelies and went on, formed the Golden Palominos, and you played a couple songs on their LPs, I think.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
The other thing is that not all of the songs, but a lot of the songs, when the solo comes, whether it's Bob or me or Terry, and it's time to play a solo, not every song, but a lot of the songs, that space is undefined. So the solo's over when I'm done.
Yeah. Okay.
The solo isn't determined by
Right.
how many verses.
Yeah, 8 bars or something.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the same with Bob when he goes into a guitar solo. When he's done, he's done.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And everybody knows it, and we go back to the tune.
Right.
The
Right.
solo's over.
Yeah.
And that gives the particular instrumentalists, me and him,
Yeah.
and him,
Yeah.
space
Right.
to play.
Well, and I guess
So
that's,
it makes it,
yeah.
for the musician, it makes it more interesting than 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and you are done.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I guess what I was getting at is just, that you guys combine this very tight ensemble playing with this very loose improvisational kind of thing, and I love it when Terry starts blowing and, and when your solos, Jack and Bob's are also unique and intense. But it's hard to talk about music, isn't it? You don't really like to talk about it, do you,
I don't
Bob?
like talking about it. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, I'm talking about it.
Well, one thing is there's a misinterpretation that's happening in this conversation.
Okay, let's clear it up.
We rehearse based on when it's capable to get together. People in the band are very busy, and we live a long distance apart.
Okay.
It's not like the old days where everybody lived in Kent and we all met.
Okay.
Jack lives one place, and Clint lives 20 minutes from there, and we live in Kent, and we get together when we can. And the other thing is I don't drag Terry over there unless he's needed. And he's not needed if we're working on the rhythm section.
Right.
And there's all these things like that. And then we do get together, like my brother says, we're talking about correcting something in a song that's happening in the performance of a song we may have been doing for 3 years that's still new.
Yeah, right.
And but we're still kind of refining a certain part of the song where when we're playing it in performance, nobody knows this stuff. Nobody knows it happens. Right. They're not supposed to. Like Jason says when he's editing, he says, if you see the edit, it's a bad edit.
Right.
The best part of a film is what you don't know, what happened that you don't. And the same thing about the music. The stuff that goes on in our music when we play in performance, there's a lot of stuff that's like, stuff blowing up and falling apart. Nobody knows.
I've said to Terry many times, we'll be doing horn parts together.
Yeah.
And pretty much as a rule, I won't quite get there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah.
And I'll just tell him, no, nobody heard that, but me and you. We're the only two people in the entire room.
Your little secret, yeah.
Right. So, who cares?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I come from a background where everything is very precise. Things start at a certain place and end at a certain place. So that we sort of run into, not a difference, but we just look at the thing differently, that's all. And he's where it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah. But that's what's cool, is that you're bringing in these different approaches, right? I mean, that's what makes it what it is. I mean, if everyone was thinking completely on the same wavelength, it would not be the same, for sure. It's funny, Bob, you say a song that's 3 years old in a 55-year career is still pretty new, right? Yeah.
Quite new.
Yeah.
Right. We're still working on something. Last time we rehearsed, that we were working on something that's 4 years old.
Is a song ever done?
Sure.
Yeah, you think so?
Sure, it's done.
Okay.
Yes. But I said, as we're discussing here, there's a part of it that's organic.
Right.
It has to breathe.
Yeah.
We're not writing, we got to edit this song because it's over almost, 4 minutes long. There's no consideration given to that. And, we hear about, this song's 7 minutes long. Well, I mean, if you listen to jazz, that's a pretty common number.
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
So it's we have this sort of jazz attitude about what we do.
Yeah.
And I think there's an on-stage conversation, but more importantly, we're listening to each other, like jazz musicians listen to each other.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of this, I need more drums in my monitor, because he's right there.
Yeah.
Listen.
Right.
And we all do that. It's all natural.
Yeah.
So I think that makes it, in the room, does something different. And I think, as I said before, there's a lot of risk in the music every time we play.
Right. And
I think that these things, and the fact that the band's taking risks and people are feeling things on stage, and they're there's all this sort of angst sometimes. Sometimes it's the opposite of angst, whatever that is. And that generates something in the room for the audience. And I think that the people that come to hear us, that's what they're there for.
Yeah. This is From Akron and Beyond. I'm Bob Ethington with my co-host Nick Nicholas, and we are talking the 55th anniversary of the legendary Numbers Band with Robert Kidney, Jack Kidney, and Terry Hynde. Jack, I have a question for you. So, Bob, when you guys first started, you probably were doing some covers, and then Bob was writing the material, basically? And so when you started writing songs, were you thinking of, this is an odd question, but were you kind of writing them just because for yourself, and then you thought maybe the band would like this? Or?
I wrote them for myself.
And then at some point you thought,
and then some of them I would go, want to try a crack at this one.
Yeah.
But I wrote them all for myself.
Yeah, because you've made solo records and do other music.
Yes.
Yeah, right. And so has Bob, for that matter, made a solo one.
What's that?
Solo record. You've made an album just under your own name.
I did.
Yes.
For a friend of mine.
Okay.
And I also had some songs that I wanted to record simply because I knew they would never be done by the band because we were running out of time. Just like we're running out of time as we sit here.
Yeah, right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so I wanted to get them down, and I had an opportunity to do it. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
I found a program on a Macintosh and realized I could multi-track by myself.
Yeah.
And play this instrument and that instrument. And, it was like playing as a little kid, like out in the backyard. That's how it hit me.
Right,
I mean, I can do that. And, none of the musicians complained.
Yeah.
About how long the song was or the fact that they had to play the thing again.
None of them were calling you a jerk behind your back.
Yeah. Everybody was pretty happy down in my basement alone.
What's a fun and very cool CD. Cool album. Yeah. So when you guys face your audience on March 8th at Kent Stage, do you have a whole set list worked out?
No.
How do you do that? Is that normal?
Yes.
We don't have set lists.
I have a menu.
Okay, now we're breaking news here, Nick.
Yeah.
I have a menu.
Okay.
I have a list of all the songs that we might possibly play. I don't if I play a song, at the end of it, I feel differently than I did when I started it.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the audience. I've been doing this all of my life, essentially.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I was 20 when I started. How many years have I been doing this? I read the audience. How did they respond? What they might like. I'm reading the audience, and then I look at the next thing and what should we do? Do we need this? Do we need that? And so, like I said, there's a certain aspect of theater. Some of these songs are written.
Of theater. Okay. Of theater, all right.
Yeah. Clint's the one who kind of nailed it. He said each one of these songs is like a one-act play. Musically.
Yeah.
So I'm different than my brother in this sense. I write for the band. Sometimes I write a song I know won't be for the band, but most of it I'm thinking about how it will work so that we have plenty of material to choose from. And, some of the songs I write are not going to work. Like I've drugged these guys through songs that in the end, when we brought them out to the stage, they just didn't hold up.
Right.
So we play it 2 or 3 times and move on. But that's just the way I do it.
Yeah.
So does that answer your question?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Except I have more questions.
All
so
right.
How many songs are on this menu? Do you choose one from A, one from column B?
They have, I don't know how many songs are on there. I mean, there's probably 30.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're the ones that are easily gotten to.
Yeah.
And then I have to keep adding new ones.
Yeah, right.
And then we have to play them. There's no point in writing a new song if you don't play it. But certain things get in the way, and my brother gets overlooked sometimes because I'm distracted by. We try to get him up on to do his material.
Feature some
Sometimes
Jack
I'll get
songs,
distracted because of where the audience is at and what we need to do or what we don't need to do. And I don't always read the menu. I have most of these songs in my head.
Sure.
But the reason I have a menu is so we don't do the same 6 songs every night.
Right.
Because that's what would happen.
Yeah.
And so there's a risk, involved. There's a risk, You have these material, you play this material. You can't go, well, they like that one, we'll give them another one like that. If you start doing that, then you're wasting your time.
Right.
We have gone on stage with playlists.
Yeah.
Don't get us wrong. We've used playlists.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you have 45 minutes, you got to know what you're doing.
Right.
But we don't.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and this show is different, right? Yeah,
Well, it's not
ideal.
45 minutes.
Right, yeah. Do you ever, like, does Bob ever, like, say, okay, we're going to do this, and you guys, Terry and Jack, look at one another and go, like, how's that begin again? Does that ever happen?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Jack and I, we'll stand there and watch Bob playing the guitar, and we're going, what the song is this?
It happens Saturday night.
Okay.
It happens every performance.
Okay.
That's the point.
Yeah.
He went into a guitar.
It's exciting,
part, and I'm going, what is this? And then
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Then
Yeah.
they'll hit you. I'll sit down, or he'll sit down at the keyboards and realize, oh, I got to get up and play the horn. Some of the intros are similar enough when the guitar starts by itself that you don't know what song.
I can see that, yes, yeah.
Because he's not going to play it identically every time.
Right. Right.
That's the improvisational aspect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I don't care if I'm late to the intro or whatever,
Yeah.
Because, like we said earlier, people don't know. Why should they? And why should they care?
Right.
all of that stuff is pretty irrelevant.
Yeah.
Unless you have a different goal. Okay? And, your goal is why you do what you do. And we're just thankful to be there. So that kind of loosens things up.
Sure.
Well, we're thankful to have you guys there, and
5 years.
I mean, it's amazing. It's an amazing run you've had, and it's far from over. There's still so much creativity and energy coming from the music that you guys do. That
one hell of a party.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. That's for sure.
So am I.
Yeah.
Well, if you sit down and you start thinking about it, it's overwhelming.
Yeah. So don't think about it.
I'm not going to say that I'm not completely innocent of this, but I have, in the past, depending upon how I feel, phoned it in. If you're sick, you phone it in.
Yeah, right. Sure. Yeah.
But you got to be sick. Otherwise, I'm not going to phone it in.
Right.
I'm going to put everything I have into it for my own enjoyment.
Yeah,
Sure. And hope it translates to the people that are sitting out there listening. If I'm enjoying it, then they will.
Yeah.
So
for all the years you guys have played, there's going to be a few gigs that are going to come under that category of, man, I'm just not feeling good or whatever. But I've never seen one that I thought was anything less than
What's wrong
full
with
out.
so-and-so?
Yeah. I never. Yeah, you hit it well. Yeah, that's for sure. So again, yes. So I'll just say it again. Thank you guys for being you, for doing the Numbers Band, and for playing this show. We're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to whatever new music you guys come out with, and we'll definitely be there at Kent Stage to help celebrate.
Thank you very much for everything that the station.
Oh, absolutely.
You fellas,
sure.
Everybody here,
yeah,
lives up to their promise. Yeah. You don't get that much.
Well, Nick, not so much, but
I'm 77. You don't get it much.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
A lot of promises, not so much delivery. You guys do what you said you would do.
Yeah.
Thank you, my friend.
Good friend of mine, text me.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll text me when he hears one of our songs on this station. I'll get a text, And I've heard our songs on this station.
Sure, yeah.
Which is unheard of.
It's still kind of a weird thrill, isn't it? To hear your own music on the radio. It is, yeah. It takes you back to being a kid almost. It's like, wow.
Well, it's like he said, we're getting played on the radio.
Yeah, right.
Who said that was going to happen?
Well, right.
This station said it was going to happen.
Yeah. Well, they do a good job. The Summit definitely does a good job. So, Nick? Did you have anything else?
No, just going to say what a pleasure and an honor and fun.
We're the one who was honored here.
Well, thank you.
Let's argue about it.
Okay.
Okay. See you outside.
I'll meet you outside.
All righty. So Terry Hynde, Jack Kidney, Bob Kidney, thank you so much for being with us. This has been From Akron and Beyond with Nick Nicholas. I'm Bob Ethington, and we'll see you next time.
So long.